And we are live. Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing well. So we are trundling down the taxiway, and we are in Orlando. Orlando, Florida. He's early. Orlando, Florida, and we are heading on up to Newark, New Jersey. Which way should we go? Let's go this way. Don't think I've flown into Newark, or at least if I have, not recently. I took a little bit of inspiration from somebody who commented on our community post when I asked where should we go, and they said Frankfurt to New York, and I was like, well, not quite sure I've got time for a transatlantic, but it'd be quite cool to do somewhere to New York. And Orlando seemed like a fairly reasonable destination to start from. Let's just hold short here a minute. Just run through the route. Let's get into plan mode. Flight plan. So here's us. And we are more or less heading straight out with a slight deviation to the left. Let's zoom us out a little bit. So yeah, so we're going to head out to Mateo. Then work our way northeast, and this will mostly be over the sea, but we should probably have a view of the coast out of the left side of the aircraft because we're not going that far out. Then we make our way sort of inland again as we head north up to Newark. Let's just zoom us in so I can show you the approach plan. So we're going to go northeast as we approach New York, or rather Newark. Slightly more north, then we sort of do a U-turn. Then we come back round on ourselves. In fact, it might be helpful to zoom out just a touch at this point. There we go. There's our U-turn. Come back round. Final left turn. Bring us in on final runway 04 left. Into Newark. And we should be in the air around about 2 hours. All being well. Right. So let's... We're cruising at 37,000, and for whatever reason there is no no real SID that I could find for today. SimBrief suggested one. What's it called? Jack 6, I think it was called. But then the plane didn't have that, nor could I find a chart for it anywhere. So I went with one that the plane did have, which I think is basically taking us the same way. Alright. So we've got 37,000 in the window. We're just going to go straight with that, I think. 29905, that's set to local. And let's go. Yeah, let's hope we don't get a headwind. There might be a little bit of a crosswind when we get to Newark. That could be interesting. Okay, let's rotate. Gear up. Auto throttle. Silly mouse. Come on, mouse, don't do this to me now. That was less than helpful. Away we we go. Gonna fly the A320neo after so much time using the Phoenix. Yeah. So the Phoenix, that isn't a Neo, is it? That's just... Am I right in saying that? That's just like standard A320. CEO. What does that stand for again? I've heard that before. Don't mind me. Just getting some screens on the go. Should do this before takeoff, really. Current engine version, right, and Neo is new engine option, isn't it? Or next engine option, something like that. New, yeah. I always find it unnerving how laggy it is going from the cockpit view to any window view. Almost like the sim's going to crash. Okay. Transition altitude today is 18,000. Just so you know. Now you're going all over the place trying to find the exact route you want. Right. Yeah. I don't know whether I'm doing something fundamentally wrong with my route planning. Because it always seems like in... whether it be SimBrief, when they suggest a SID or a star, or whether I put it into Sim Toolkit Pro, and then browse their SIDs and stars, I get into the aircraft, and it's just not on there. And I'm like, oh no. So then you just have to kind of just go with something. And it all feels a little bit backwards. Almost feels like there needs to be a service that takes the exact routes that airlines fly and just gives you those. Alright, 10,000. Is it nav logo and beacon, right? For cruise? Strobe is optional, or strobe is a must? Strobe set to auto at the moment. Right, let's have a look then. Nav is a must. Beacon is a must. Strobe is also a must. I guess auto would essentially be on. Nav and logo. Logo is optional, but I've only got the one switch. Or am I missing something? There's only 2 states, on and off. What about wing lights? When would they be used? Oh, okay. So do you get that on the... What's the purpose of wing light? Is that more for visibility when you get on the ground? Gotcha, yeah. That would make sense. So I think I'm about 50% there with the Boeing in terms of getting my knowledge to an acceptable state. Slowly getting there. So I'm at the point now where I can do a cold and dark, mostly get the FMC programmed, and there's still part of that that I haven't quite squared away. Then I think obviously takeoff, climb, that kind of stuff shouldn't be too much. Hey Foot. Hope you don't mind me calling you Foot. Not sure I can handle reading the rest of that. Yeah, LNAV and VNAV. Then I think just brushing up a little bit on procedures coming into land. Then I think I'll be good. Like activating ILS, that kind of thing. And I'm sure it's just a couple of buttons, but if you don't know where the buttons are, then, you know, you don't know, do you? Oh, you're a sub, awesome, thanks. How long is the flight? So at the moment, I don't know if you can see, top part of the screen it says ETE, which stands for estimated time en route. What's that at the moment? Hour and 56, so a little under 2 hours. So actually, maybe I should put it on the map. There we go. 2 hours. Is it like the auto throttle works differently on the Boeings? $17, wow, that's I mean, I would just take that, really. Dublin to Iceland, nice. Where in Iceland? Is it Reykjavik? I think I'm saying that right. Never sure I pronounced that place right. It's a cool approach. Quite challenging sometimes with the winds. Hence I avoid it. Yeah, my success rate at crosswind landings at the moment, depending on the severity, I think are probably about 50-50. Apparently on the Airbus you don't need to do any aileron. So if you're doing, say, right rudder, you wouldn't need to do any like left aileron in the Airbus because the systems apparently account for all of that. Whereas I think on the Boeings you might do. So we're almost at our waypoint. Where are we now? About 7 miles out to Mateo, which is our waypoint. Which is where we kind of turn out to the sea a little bit. So Florida will kind of arc away from us. And then we'll re-intercept the land further up, I guess. Where will that be? This is where my state's knowledge falls apart. Is it the Carolinas? I definitely am not looking at Google Maps on a second monitor. And I'm definitely not stalling for time by talking slowly while I do this. South Carolina, yeah, there we go. How to get the map? So the map, I use a program called Sim Toolkit Pro. And what you need to do, or what I do, I mean I could be doing half of it wrong for all I know. What I do, I get my flight plan from SimBrief, load it into the plane, and as a separate thing I load it into SimBrief. And then you connect not SimBrief. As a separate thing I load it into Sim Toolkit Pro. And you connect Sim Toolkit Pro to the sim, it kind of connects itself. Oh, I thought the sim was going to crash then. And then it gives you the maps, and it gives you the bar at the top because it kind of knows obviously where you are because it's connected to the sim, and it knows where you're supposed to be going, so it can estimate how far along you are and plot you on a map. And the maps and the stuff at the top are actually browser sources that you load into OBS if you're into that. There we go, link is in the chat. I don't know what happened today, but I had a YouTube short absolutely blow up. And I don't know why. I don't know why it happened, and I don't know how I can replicate it, which is weird. Went from like nothing to 10,000 views in the space of like no time at all. I was like, whoa, what happened there? And you try and look at it and think, well, why was it different? Why did it do that? Why did that one suddenly... Why did that suddenly capture people's imagination, whereas the other ones... I mean, the other ones do fine, but like, not to that level. The only thing I can think of is that it was at San Francisco Airport. And I have noticed a little bit of a correlation when that happens. So if I was to land at some like random airport that probably no one really knows, sometimes the short will do well, like reasonably well. But then if you do like an LAX, San Francisco, Heathrow, yeah, those kind of places, maybe that's some of it. I don't know. This YouTube stuff, I feel like I need to be like a data scientist sometimes. Like the mysterious and elusive algorithm. The algorithm, in air quotes, that everyone talks about. Oh, did you get that too? That little tiny pause and the break in the audio. I feel like I'm in this constant state of terror since I had the last sim crash. Any little freeze, any little blip in the audio, I'm like, oh no, what is it? It's going to happen again. You just start your flight sim then. You can see yourself. Entirely sure what you mean. Yeah, so my workflow is I start the sim, then you have to connect the sim to Sim Toolkit Pro. So you have to go into the settings and add a connection. It'll probably have to download a separate piece of software that is like the connector tool, so that the Sim Toolkit Pro can connect to Flight Sim. So I think you have to go into settings and... because obviously it can accommodate different simulators, so it says, oh, is it X-Plane, is it P3D, is it, you know, Flight Sim 10 like the old one. So you have to select what sim it is. Then I think it goes ahead and installs a piece of software that allows it to talk to that specific sim. Then you have to explicitly tell it to connect to it, I think. Oh, well, and amazing. I'm so glad you asked. Wait for this. It's me. I say this every time, but I cannot tell you how many hours it took me to make this incredibly simple and unimpressive looking paint job. Yeah, I did a custom. It took so long. So long. I really wanted to get like maybe like an N on the tail in like a circle, but it kept breaking in between the rudder fin. So like half of it would be up here, and like the other half of the circle would be split down here. It's crazy. Yeah. Not entirely sure I'd recommend going that route because it takes so long. I'll descend at 118 nautical miles. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. What I was actually about to do, it's a good time you mention it. There we go. Did the maths. Nice. So, at what waypoint do we need to be at a certain altitude? Here we go, M-Bay, 2,800 feet, to bring us in on final. So over here, where are we now? 37,000, and we need to be at 2,800, and it probably seems reasonable to do that at 2,000 feet per minute. Yeah, so near as damn it. I'd say our figures are within our margin of error of each other. What I quite like to do is go into the perf page. Sorry, progress page. Yeah, you got it perfectly right. I mean, that's probably better to do it 2 miles sooner than 2 miles quicker. What was it? M-Bay, wasn't it? Put that in there. I guess they're both the same, even though it says they're not. What are these constraints here telling us? So we need to be above 20,000 at that one. So maybe we should probably put that in. Something that always puts you to the top. Above 20,000. Above 13. Click, 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 click. Yeah, they probably will. If we've learnt nothing from our Bristol escapade. We need to be at 11,000. Stephen Angie, yeah, I remember you from last time, I think, or a couple of streams ago. Welcome back. Yeah, so really, It wants us at 11 for that one. What about this one? 8,000 wants us at 8. Oh, it's me. Yeah, sorry. Me again. Me again. You watch a different person. Oh. Yeah, you stuck with me, I'm sorry. Unlucky. Can I still get liveries if I'm using the Xbox app on PC? Yes, you can. You just need to find the community folder, which will be at a certain location. Can't remember off the top of my head where it is, you'll have to Google for it, but if you were to download the game on Steam as I have, it would be in a different location to where it is for you. And then you can browse away, find your liveries. Flightsim.to is a good place to start, and then just drop them into your community folder. Once you've found your community folder, maybe make a shortcut on your desktop or something so you can find it nice and easy. It says I do 36 by 3, which is 108, then plus 10. Yeah, bang on. So that will take you to ground level, whereas I was calculating it to 2,800 feet, which I guess would explain the disparity in our two figures, but it's only by 2 miles. So yeah, I think you're bang on with that. That's how I would do it as well. I learnt that trick from 320 Sim Pilot. Absolute legend. The amount I've learnt from that guy is incredible. I think the flight sim community owes an enormous debt to him, I really do. Ah, Sid, how you doing? Oh, you only learnt that today, Fit? Okay, cool. You know, every day's a school day. Every day's a school day. I don't know about the rest of you, but it's like the more you learn about something, the more you realise you don't know. You kind of reach a point where you think, yeah, I know loads of stuff now about the A320 or whatever plane it is you're flying in, and then something else reveals itself, and you're like, damn it, now there's this whole pocket of knowledge that I've just realised I don't know. Oh, nice. You're in the new 737. Yeah, I've just actually bought that. Not streaming with it yet, because I am in learning mode. Definitely in learning mode with that one. I'd say I'm about 50% stream ready. Yeah, dip my hands in my pocket. Released all the moths. For me, I couldn't justify the Phoenix. Not when the fly-by-wire is so close and so good and so free. Oh, nice, appreciate it, Foot. Yeah, 9 PM here too for me. I feel like I should know that airport code, Sid. I feel like I've seen that before. So I'm gonna have to Google it. I'm gonna kick myself. Ibiza, of course it is. How are you finding the 800, Sid? I find it's really nice to fly. I've been doing some, you know, like where you just pick an airport and a runway and say land here, and just been doing the last sort of few miles of the approach. I'm loving flying it for that. It's really cool. Just kind of getting my head down and learning all the systems at the moment. And there's a lot of crossover between Airbus and Boeing, but it's kind of just like buttons are in different places. The same thing is called something different in the Boeing. Land ahoy. 11:06, you're only 2 hours ahead. Thought it'd be more than that for some reason. From UK time. The one that always shocks me is South Africa, given how like far away it is. You assume that it would be a big time gap, but of course it's not. Hey, good luck, Sid. Butter that bread. Well, Chili, how's it going? We're doing good here, thank you very much. Cannot complain. A chilled Sunday evening on Flight Sim. Struggle to complain at that. How about yourself? Hope you're well. Iceland Air is specifically built because since Iceland Air goes Iceland, Dublin, if an engine fails, they can land on water because they have a pointed nose thing. Really? Pointed nose? What, a custom nose on the plane? Just for them? You just subbed. Nice, thank you. Appreciate that. Check their images. Alright. That's interesting. The nose is pointy. They look fairly normal to me, I've got to say. So you're saying they've got specific noses on their aircraft that aids them landing in water? Am I understanding that correctly? Is that what you're saying? Or am I getting the wrong end of the stick here? Because I can't imagine they do have that. Unless I'm wrong. Which wouldn't be the first time. No, not muted. Just enjoying the view. Yeah, I don't know about that Iceland Air thing. Looking around, I can't see anything that suggests they've got. Have I ever encountered turbulence that made the plane bank? No. Don't think I have. I mean, it sort of like rocked a little bit, but I wouldn't say like a sustained bank. For the record, this is not turbulence right now, this is the plane turning. They flew sideways every time you found turbulence. No, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right at all. You sure that's not like a bug or something in the plane? Is it in all planes? Don't know then. I don't really think I've encountered a lot of turbulence really in this game. But like occasionally, where is it? We went from, was it Milan to Gatwick? Was it going over the mountains? That's a little bit, but I don't know what to say then. That is weird. Can you fly to or from Atlanta sometime? Oh, that'd be cool. That would be cool. Yeah, that's like one of the busiest airports in the world, isn't it, Atlanta? Yeah. Oh, right, yeah, Vatsim. I mean, Vatsim is like a realistic multiplayer network. So the idea is that I guess you would play it. You're thinking you would play it as a pilot, perhaps. But there are also people that play it as the air traffic controllers. And maybe using the word play is wrong because they take it very seriously. Like, if you show up and mess around, you won't be on there long. I actually find it quite intimidating, actually. I've yet to try it. I've no doubt it would absolutely bring so much more to the sim and to the experience and possibly the stream. It's just one of those... things, I guess, if I have to take the plunge at some point. You can do it in observer mode though, so I think I'm going to start doing that. So observer mode is where you can see the other planes that are flying around, you can hear the air traffic controllers, you can hear the other pilots, you can listen in on all the radio frequencies, but they can't see you, so they don't know you're there, so you can't annoy them basically. But quite a nice thing to do is maybe sort of pretend you're one of the other players and listen out for when they're being talked to by air traffic and try and follow the instructions. And also you've got the actual airplane that you're copying. I guess if you let that airplane go a little bit in front of you, hopefully they would know what they're doing. And that also gives you a reference of what you should be doing as well. Oh, someone from Brazil. Nice. Welcome. Never been to Brazil. It's definitely on the list though, one day. As in real life, not on the sim here, flying around. I mean, like, go to Brazil in real life. Should clarify that. sure where I'd go in Brazil. And I guess the obvious place to someone that's never been is probably Rio. But I guess there's an awful lot more to Brazil than Rio. Flight Simulator is downloading right now. Is there any planes I should get? So, probably fly-by-wire. Oh, yeah. Way ahead of me there. Yeah, fly-by-wire A320neo is the way to go. And also, yeah, way ahead of me, the Salty Sim mod for the 747. So if you get the fly-by-wire installer, you'll be able to get the fly-by-wire A320neo, which is the plane I'm flying now. And you'll also be able to download the Salty Sim 747 mod within that. So it's like a one-stop shop, really, which is nice. Button. Oh no. Ooh. Flip. I thought that was going to crash then. That was dangerously close. Wonder what happened to the electricity bill if I flew from Heathrow to Sydney. Yeah, you know, honestly, you've got to consider that. Like, if you want to do like a 7-hour flight, you actually do have to consider the cost of electricity, I think. Because if you do that once a day, it's going to add up. It really will. I don't know what it's like in your region, but power prices here are all the rage at the moment. That's all the news can talk about. It's power prices going up and up and up and up and up and up. Like, we are so lucky we're tied in to a like a plan. So we fixed our price years ago and we're locked in until October next year. But man, like, if prices keep going the way they're going, October next year is going to be a nasty shock. A nasty, nasty shock. So we pay, I think, is it like 20 pence per kilowatt hour? So if you were to assume my PC, my screens, my lights, probably all in, I would estimate is using about 500 watts an hour. It's 10p an hour, which doesn't sound like much. But if you think, oh, I'll do a 10-hour flight, well, that's £1. You do that once a day. Even if you do that once every other day, that becomes £15 a month. That becomes £180 a year. It's not insignificant. And that's at like the good price that I'm fortunate to be locked into. If I was paying like whatever the market rate is, it's like, goodness. I would genuinely have to question whether I could do this, I think. I have to get the channel monetized. That's the answer. Right, so how are we doing? Not bad, about an hour out. Oh, you downloaded the fly-by-wire, nice. Yeah, so do we. So do we. The A380 is going to be awesome. Like, the detail they put into this, the A320 we're in now, is incredible. And to have that translated into an A380, that's going to be something special, I think. It's coming soon. Do you know how soon? Because I know they're very, very careful never to give any kind of release date or anything like that. And I can understand it. They're volunteers. Like, why should they be held to a schedule? Yeah, it's like a labour of love for them, I guess. Oh, the new video preview, yeah. Yeah, that was awesome. Like, all the little, just little bits of, like, grime from, like, fingerprints on the screens and stuff. I just, like, unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Love it. Hello from Sweden. Awesome. Got people from all over the globe in tonight. Welcome on in. Thanks for being here. So at about 340 miles we're going to start our descent. That's the plan. Like from Tennessee, I just subbed. Thank you very much. And hit the like. Awesome. Gold star for you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Yes, yes, it is the fly-by-wire. Just watched it. Yeah, it looks incredible. Hey, Foot. But I wasn't sure what your last message meant where you typed RN. Sorry. Yeah, A380 is going to be awesome. I think that'll become my like default long-haul aircraft. Not that I'll be able to afford to do long-haul flights when electricity becomes like £1 million. Just nuts. Oh, you two know each other. Nice. Ah, that's awesome. Interestingly, the A380 is winning the poll by quite a margin. Not the type of plane you can do a little short hop in, though, is it? That'll be the issue for me, flying it on stream. You can only have 4 options, that's the problem. Or 3, if you want to use the last option as other, and then say to like put it in chat or something. Which maybe I should have done in hindsight. Oh, don't. Crash the desktop. That was the worst. We were so close as well, weren't we? What were we, like 2 turns away from coming into Vegas? Like I think we'd gone south of Vegas and we were just sort of turning, looping around it. So close, crashed to desktop. I don't think it was final. I think we were a little bit further out, but we were just starting on that turn, like the penultimate turn. But yeah, any which way you slice it, that was bad. Kind of threw me a little bit as well, kind of like from the streamer aspect of it. It's kind of like, oh no, what do I do? How do I handle this? I've never had to handle this before live on stream. They've got like people watching and... Yeah, San Francisco to Amsterdam, 3 hours later the game crashed. That sucks, doesn't it? I think it hurts more the further you get into the flight. It's like a sunk cost fallacy, isn't it? It's like you've invested so much time into it, and then that happens. It's just like, oh no, like it's so annoying. X-Plane 12 coming soon, then the A380. Wonder what will be streamed more. I'm really intrigued to see how X-Plane 12 does. Though sitting here, I don't know if I would buy it, given how satisfied I am with this. I mean, I'm glad it exists, or rather it's going to exist, because imagine if Microsoft Flight Sim was just unchallenged. That's not good for us as consumers. Can you see my messages? Yes, we can. Yeah, P through D would. I just think the more the better, really. YouTube being bad. You know, the more competition in any field, you know, like take like building PCs. I'm into building PCs. You see people yelling about AMD's better than Intel, Intel's better than AMD, Team Red, Team Blue, like no. Don't take sides, just go with whichever one is best at the time. Like, and the fact that both of them exist means that they both get better. You don't have to love one and you want the other one to fail. That's very low resolution thinking, is what I would call that kind of attitude. Hey Samantha. Very well, thank you, Samantha. Very well indeed. Cannot complain. Yourself? Not is underrated. Wow. Underperforming, probably. Is usually the case. Is this JetBlue? No, and I'm so glad you asked. Any excuse. Any excuse to show it off. Oh, I appreciate you. Always appreciate you being here. You are the co-pilot to the channel. Yeah, that livery took so long. I can't even, there came a point where I was like, I should really track how many hours this is taking. I think I probably did it the hardest way possible. There were, I think I used a program called paint.net. And I sort of loaded in all the various textures, and the hardest thing was getting both sides of the plane to look similar, because the if I show you again, turn that down a bit, it's quite loud out here. Where's my cursor? There it is. So obviously this bit, air not here, is a different orientation to this side. But then trying to get them both to line up at roughly the same place, because like initially like this one was like all the way back here, or it was slightly wonky this is so difficult. And I wanted to put something on the tail, but I failed miserably. So I had to kind of admit defeat on that. The plan is to make a version 2 of it, because I feel like it's a little bit primitive. It's cool though, I like it. I'm really pleased that I made it, but tail should be, yeah, that's exactly what I tried to do, but the issue I had was the tail fin, like the rudder fin, is a separate file to the main part of the tail. So the issue was, yeah, this little bit here was a completely separate file. So I'd have to like chop my logo along this line, put one part of it here, and then the other part of it here. And I think I did about like 50 iterations trying to get them to line up. It's like, yeah. I think I'm basically doing it the wrong way. Like, it probably shouldn't be as hard as I was making it, and I think that probably comes from a lack of understanding. I feel like maybe I need to go back to the drawing board, take my time, learn the right way to do it, and then hopefully it will become clear. Because it obviously must be possible. You see some of the liveries that people are putting out, like almost perfect versions of, like, you know, Qantas, British Airways, all the big airlines that we know and love, and they look seamless. So there must be an easier way. Like, surely they're not all suffering the way I did. There must be a way. And that was actually where the channel logo came from. It initially started out as part of the tail fin. You've made your own virtual airline, nice. Yeah, a lot of people quite often ask me in the chat, like, oh, what airline is this? Or will you fly a Ryanair plane, or will you fly a American Airlines plane? But I kind of like just flying my own plane. I kind of like the idea that the channel is called what it is and the planes follow the same name. The challenge then is doing a different livery for all the different planes I intend to fly. So I've just bought the Boeing 737-800. So on that basis, I'm now obligated to make a custom livery for that. Similarly, I sometimes fly the A330, so I probably have to do it for that as well. Then it's like, oh, maybe I should fly the 747. It's like, well, I'm going to have to do one for that as well. I wonder if I could find someone on like Fiverr and just get them to do it for me. Bert's back. Look out. I mean, when you say make a virtual airline, I haven't really made a virtual airline. I've just made a YouTube channel and I've painted my plane a certain colour. I haven't really done anything much beyond that. Oh yeah, giving the plane... Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I should do that. I always loved the way that Virgin Atlantic named their planes. I thought that was such a cool thing that they did. Like, most planes just go by their tail numbers, which, yeah, not very descriptive, not very memorable, just a random bunch of characters, letters, numbers. Yeah, I love the way they always gave their planes a proper name. And I remember the ones I've been on, for that reason. Flying Heathrow to New York, we flew on an A330. It's called Golden Girl. On the way back, we flew on another A330 called Lady Love. Going to Vegas, we flew on a 747 called Jersey Girl. Like, you remember that stuff? Airbus A320neo. Yeah, not quite what I had in mind. But, you know. Hey, we're not far out, are we? We are not far out. Princess Airways and all planes are named after royalty. Nice idea. That is a cool idea. So when you say your airline is named that, like, where is it named that? Is that like on Vatsim, or is that just what you call it? Or like for your YouTube channel or whatever? So I'm never quite sure when people say virtual airline quite what they mean. I know what it means for me, which is, you know, paint your plane a certain way and make a YouTube channel with the same name. Which is probably not what most people mean, I would imagine. Gotcha. That's cool. I did think about Not Airways. For whatever reason, I just went with Air Not. I don't know whether that was the right or the wrong choice to go for. I sort of took inspiration from like Air India, Aer Lingus, albeit they spell air differently. That's a great idea though, naming the planes after royalty. I love that idea. Right, so we are 293 miles out. It's not going to be long. Not going to be long until we start thinking about coming down, is it? What was MBay? Need to refresh my memory. Where do they want us at MBay? MBay, 2,800 feet. That's what I put over here, wasn't it? 2,800, 2,000 feet a minute. We're currently at 37,000, so 116 miles to descend at 2,000 feet per minute. Okay, fair enough. I'll keep that in mind with the weather, thanks. So we're only at about 100 miles. Roughly. 110. There or thereabouts. Wrong wrong side. There we go. Get a bit of coastline in our view. Oh, that's a good idea actually, yeah. And I could have both of them dragged off to my second monitor. Good idea, I never thought of that. Back again. YouTube behaving now. Where is this? Is this Delaware? I think it's Delaware. Well, the A320's pulled ahead in the polls. That's interesting. Messages are broken. Don't worry about it. Sit back and enjoy the flight. I never realised that the island that we're about to kind of see out of our window, this one that will extend into a wider landmass, is part Washington State. No, wait, not Washington State. Part Delaware. Virginia. Never knew that. Have I flown to Athens? I did. Did once. But don't believe it was on stream. I'm trying to think where I went from. I think it may have been Rome. Possibly Rome. I think it's somewhere in Italy that I took off from. No, did it? Airline livery is pink with a white cursive lettering saying Princess Airways and a tail that has a golden jewelled crown. That's very cool. Landed hard but still got 17 feet. Hey, you know, take it. If it says it, it must be right. You get the live map when flying, so I can't see the map on my game. The map is only shown to you through the stream. So unless you're on, you know, doing your own stream or whatever, it may not be that useful to you. So if you go into the streaming section of Sim Toolkit Pro, you'll see the map there. And you'll notice it gives you like a web address. You could, if you've got a second monitor, maybe open a web browser and paste that address in there. You should see the map there. Might be an option for you. Yeah, A320's pulling away now in the pole. 'I guess maybe this stream could have a bias, given that like in the title and the description it's like A320, so maybe people that have come through the stream search for that. Chat looked like a Twitch chat for a second. It's for technical reasons, apparently. But yeah, I must admit, I did kind of think that myself. In 2008, flew LA to Sydney. Nice. 747-400, the classic. Love it. Oh, look at that, we're up to like 14 likes, that's awesome. Thank you all. Right, what's up front? Yeah, 22 minutes left, but that's our current speed that it's kind of projecting that. So as we start to slow down, as we descend, that will start to pull out a little bit. So we're 150 nautical miles from when we need to descend, and we're going to descend at 116, but I'll probably do it at like 120. Right, let's put in some destination data. Here we go. Right, bear with me while I do this. UNH 1020. If you're wondering how I'm remembering all of this, it was because I took a photo of it with my phone. Took a photo of the screen. Temperature is 27. Warm in New York today. What's the wind? 170 and 9. In radio. Never short to put in Barrow. $187 to go, but to our waypoint where we need to be at 2,800, we're at 140. So it wants us at 2,800 for 40 miles. What? That doesn't sound right. Something's up. Something's up with that. Barrow is landing altitude plus 200. Oh right, and I guess you get that from the chart. Just trying to see where you get that from the chart. I've got airport elevation 17. TDZE, what is that, I wonder? Touchdown zone elevation. It's 10 feet for the runway, apparently. So would that mean 210 in Barrow? Yeah, I thought so too. Alright, let's do it. Let's put 210 in Barrow. Not before we start setting... God, my frames per second are tanking. I did read somewhere that if you don't know what to put in Barrow, just put 200 in radio. I'm going to put in 2800, but we'll keep an eye on it. Let's start descending them. Go. So it is almost 116 miles out, isn't it, by the time we get down to our descent altitude. Right, perf. So let's do 210 in Barrow, and usually that cancels out radio. Yeah. So it wants us at flight level 200, 200. That's above 20,000. Above. It actually wants us above 13, but it wants us at 11 at Somto. Then it wants us at 8. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. Moments like this when I wish the plane had VNAV. Yeah, I guess there's a lot of dev that needs to go into it to make sure it works really well, because it must be very, very complex to program that. And again, when you're talking about volunteers, what their workflow is, I guess any new technology they add to the A320, they can merge that into the A380 build, I would hope. So hopefully the A380 will come roughly with feature parity of the A320, if that's the case. So the work they're doing on VNAV now for the A320 should also benefit the A380. One would hope. Yeah, so would I. So would I. I think as soon as you start accepting money, it becomes a very different endeavour, doesn't it? If you imagine these developers are working in their spare time, they're doing it because they're passionate about the project, they're under no obligation whatsoever to give us anything. They don't owe us a thing. As soon as you introduce money, then people start yelling when they don't get what they want. People start yelling if the sim crashes. They blame the plane, they blame the devs. It gets complicated pretty quickly. So I can kind of see why they haven't. It just keeps it simple, and it keeps the power on their side. If they want to just stop doing it, they stop doing it. They don't owe an explanation to anyone. And I say this as someone who's had a background in software development and selling software on the side, and yeah. Introduce money. Very different environment. I did wonder whether I should pull the source code and have a look at it, see if I can maybe contribute or something. But I barely have time to do this, so I don't think becoming a dev for fly-by-wire is exactly a reasonable expectation I can put on myself at the moment. Was that Philadelphia below us? No, it's not. It's ahead of us. My mistake. Did you know CRS does VOR navigation? Not sure what you mean by CRS. No, I didn't. That has to be Philadelphia's airport beneath us, right? I think I've flown into there once. Off stream, but like... See where this is going. See if the plane can slow itself down to 250. Or whether we're going to need to help it. Oh no, you're sick. Oh yeah, you're right, it does suck. Every time my frames dip, I am just getting terrified. Altitude 3013. Okay. Well, the driver be listening to the stream. Nice. Appreciate that. Appreciate you sticking with us. Well, have a good drive. Drive safe. What's the frame dip all about? Honestly, I don't know. Yeah. All I know is whenever it happens, it strengthens the case in my mind for a 4000 series GPU. Put it that way. Even though I'm sure the GPU isn't at fault. Right, we're going to need a bit of speed brakes. Because that speed is not getting there on its own. User error? What are you talking about? Yeah, you're not wrong. I did notice actually before I started streaming I'm running in DX12. So part of me wonders whether is that the issue? Right, I'm going to get rid of the map because I think it's fairly obvious we're approaching New York now. Stayed the whole stream. Absolute hero. Right, coming up on 10,000 feet, so we need to... Oh man, those frame dips. Something ain't right. It's never usually this bad. 3013 on the altimeter. Three zero one three. Lights. Those lights. So we'll do that one as well. And we're actually quite a distance out from Bay, which is our waypoint that we need to be at 2,800 for. We've actually descended quite well. Yeah, I think the stutters are going to be worse today than perhaps they would be on any other normal flight, just because we're at New York and it's doing a lot of drawing, especially if we got like Manhattan to our side and things like that. 22 miles. That can't be right. That is absolutely wrong. It says it's 22 miles to Bay, and here it clearly says it's 23 miles just for this one leg, plus the 6, plus the 14, plus the 11. Something is off. Or is it doing it as the crow flies? Surely not. Or is this screen bugged? So we've got about 30 miles to there and around. Imagine a situation where you're in a real flight and the pilot, co-pilot both die. There was a call on the tannoy to ask if anyone could fly the plane. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would, because in the event that there isn't an actual pilot on the plane that can also do it, of course I would. I would probably let it land itself. I'd probably configure it for an auto land and try and stay off the controls. Despite my ego wanting to say I landed it myself, I would probably, if I had like 200 people back there, just configure it for an auto land. There's no time for that. That was quite something, wasn't it, that Hudson landing? So I think we've got a bug going on here. Something's not right. It says it's 16 miles to Bay. But then if you look at the flight plan, we've got 12 to our next waypoint, then 6, then 23, then 5, then 5. Bay is 40 miles away. Or is it doing that as the crow flies? I thought it did it as track miles. Yeah, I remember thinking that actually. When I saw the news, I was like, oh yeah, land it on water, obviously. But if you're a little bit not level, if one engine digs in more than the other, oof, yeah. So what are we now? 41 miles out. So really not that far. Altitude's 5,000 at the moment. So we're going to do this U-turn, do a little bit of a bank to the left, and then we've got a straight line, and at that point we need to be at 2,800 feet for landing. Minutes. I've still not flown that. Yeah, I did landing lights. So there's M-Bay. That's when we need to be at 2,800. I think I'm going to take the opportunity to activate approach, because we really aren't far. Nice to see we're the right side of the ILS. Hey. Yep, approach mode's already on. Get our first level of flaps out. No crazy mountains in our way today, which is always good. Out the window while we turn. That is not the runway, by the way. That is not Newark Airport, that is somewhere else. We are not going there today. So we're basically going to straighten up here, then we've got one more turn, and that turn will bring us on to final, so we need to be completely ready to go at that point. Get our flaps all the way out now, we're at the low speed. is actually dangerous. Oh, you mean like butter landings are dangerous? Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong. Nice. I'd say we timed that fairly well. About 10 miles too short, but... What? Why has also throttle gone off? How did that happen? Why did it do that, I wonder? Oh no. Oh, I thought the sim was going to crash then. Right. Throttle, climb, autopilot. What is going on here? Earth. Ah! I don't know what just happened then. Everything started to go a bit wrong. Like, big time wrong. Oh, man. Every time I engage autopilot, it just freaks on me. I don't know why it's doing that. Right. See if we can't do it manually then. See if it can re-engage. I think it's going to. Need to activate approach phase again. Why did it do that? Why did it bring us out of that mode? I don't know whether the plane bugged or whether I did something inadvertently. That was really weird. Yeah, I'll be landing manually, don't you worry. I'm just confused as to why that all fell to pieces then. That was very strange. Very strange. Yeah, San Diego was good fun, right?
2,500.
Gear down. Alright, let's do it manually from here, shall we? Set auto brakes medium. Arm speed brakes. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Slightly rattled as to why the plane failed on me back then. I don't think I touched a single thing, unless I did so without meaning to on my mouse. That's always possible. Go. Okay, so let's level ourselves off. Wait for that diamond to come down.
2,500. 2,500.
Okay, here we go.
2,500.
You see I'm hovering around 2,500, freaking out the plane. Be a little bit more to the left. We've also got a bit of a wind coming from our tail, blowing us slightly to the right, so we will need to keep on that. Nice and steady. Break the volume up a little bit. The sim crashes now. I'm just going to bed. Yeah, auto brakes are set to medium, flaps are fully extended. Speed brakes are armed. Gear is down. Bit high.
One thousand.
Right, Sim, don't you dare crash. We're having no crashes to desktop this evening, I should say. Right. Frames feel bad.
500.
Getting in the excuses, I know.
$400. $300.
Oh, frame dips.
200.
Bit too low.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Oh. That did not feel good. Floated for way too long there.
Minimum.
That was okay. That was okay. I feel like the plane was configured badly for that. I felt like it was shouting out things that were... not quite right. I don't know whether that barrow field was wrong that I did. There's a terminal over there. Let's cut across here because I'm being lazy. That was... I would probably give that a 6 out of 10. I wasn't very happy with that. I think I floated for far too long. Oh, Squirrel. Oh, I love Squirrel. Such a cool YouTuber. I would say we sound very different. He's got a very strong northern accent, I would say. But I guess, given that we're both British, I guess I could probably see the link. Why is there a tree in the way? Alright, let's park here because Flight Sim has had a moment and put a tree where we should be. Right. Let's turn all this rubbish off. Well, we're down. Yeah, not one for the Hall of Fame for sure. That approach was a bit rough as well, where the plane just freaked out on me. I might rewatch it back and try and figure out why it did that. It's like I came back to the cockpit and auto throttle was disconnected and it was all over. That was weird. Very, very weird. GG's. GG's indeed. Right. And with that, I'm going to end the stream. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it, as always. I don't honestly know when the next stream is going to be. Timings are a bit weird here at the minute. Until the 7th rolls around, my schedule is not going to be very regular. So it will be when it will be. I'll see if I can schedule it if I know that day that I've got some time. But beyond that, yeah, it might be a bit all over. But appreciate you being here, and I will catch you all hopefully next time. Take care of yourselves.